Hello and welcome to Gulf Coast VA Today, an informational show about what's happening in the Gulf Coast Veterans Healthcare System. Each month, we cover news, services, and programs in our healthcare system relevant to you, the veteran. I'm your host, Vernon Stewart, Chief of Community and Public Affairs and Marine Corps veteran. Today, I have with me Mr. Robert Davis, Voluntary Services Officer. Mr. Bob Davis served 27 years in the United States Navy. How you doing, Mr. Davis? Go ahead and tell us about yourself.
Yes, I've been here at VA for about 18 years. I enjoy my job here in Voluntary Services. Love working with the volunteers. I served over 27 years in the United States Navy. Served as a dental technician, from a dental technician to an intel specialist, and from an intel specialist to a supply corps officer.
Wow, that's a very expansive career, and thank you for all of your federal service up to this point. So, Mr. Davis, go ahead and tell us a little bit about what exactly is Voluntary Services.
Well, VA Voluntary Services is one of the largest centralized volunteer programs in the federal government. It was founded in 1946 to provide for our nation's veterans while they are being cared for at VA facilities. More than 7,400 national and community organizations support the program. Volunteers have provided over 760 million hours of service and nearly $1.9 billion in gifts and donations. Nationwide in fiscal year 2020, volunteers contributed more than 4.4 million hours of service to our veterans. Donors contributed more than $109 million in gifts and donations. So each year, community volunteers give selflessly of themselves and resources in order to serve America's veterans. It's impossible to calculate the amount of caring and sharing that these VAVS volunteers provide to veteran patients. VAVS volunteers are priceless assets to the nation's veterans and to the Department of Veteran Affairs. We love having our volunteers out here. They just do so much for us.
Yeah, no, that's a very good point, Mr. Davis. I mean, especially in times like this, our volunteers and any donations we receive from the public are paramount, and we rely heavily on our community partners and volunteers during operations, and especially in times like this. So let me ask you, how does one sign up to volunteer?
Well, if you would like to volunteer here at our Biloxi VA Medical Center or our Mobile community-based outpatient clinic, you can call myself at 228-523-5763, or you can call my assistant, Ms. Sharon Ladner, at 228-523-5786. Now, if you would like to volunteer at our Pensacola, Eglin, or Panama City Beach outpatient clinics, you can contact Mr. Michael Gray, and you can reach him at 850-912-2057. Now, we have two types of volunteers. We have regular scheduled volunteers and occasional volunteers. Our regular scheduled volunteers have volunteer assignments which they perform on a regular basis. Our occasional volunteers come in when needed. They come in and assist our staff when we're having special events for our patients, such as Fall Carnival, National Salute for veteran patients, and also honoring our Veterans Car Show.
Nice. So we also have additional volunteer assignments, correct? Like the information desk and ambassadors. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, we do have an ambassador program, and this is a great program. A lot of times when veterans come in, especially if it's their first time coming to the medical center, they don't know where their appointment location is. So our ambassadors actually escort the patient to the location where their appointment is located. So, that provides a good service, and it makes the veterans feel at home, that someone would, instead of giving them directions, turn in this hallway, go up this stair, you actually escort the patient to their appointments. We also have our VTN, which is our Veterans Transportation Network, and it provides for transportation for veterans seeking services from our VA clinics or a facility which is authorized by VA. Now, this program is actually sponsored by a veteran service organization, the DAV, which is Disabled American Veterans. And their national organization also provides the vans, these nice, beautiful DAV vans that people see running around the city. And if you like to volunteer as a DAV van driver, two things. You must be insured and you must have a valid driver's license. Other areas, we have clinical and administrative volunteer positions. They assist services with filing, calling patients to remind them of their appointments, and other administrative duty. We also have an information desk where volunteers hand out pamphlets and provide information to patients. We have a recreation volunteer. They assist the recreation therapists with escorting our elderly patients to recreation activities. So those are just a few of the volunteer opportunities here at Gulf Coast.
Yeah, absolutely. Our ambassador program, I can speak very highly about that. It's a very needed facet of one of the things that you offer through your service, especially during a time like this. So with a lot of people wondering, I know I get a lot of questions about this specifically. With us in this current pandemic that we are in, with social distancing and masking and minimizing large groups, a lot of people may be thinking that we're not taking volunteers or we don't want volunteers on our site. What exactly are we doing? How have we adjusted to the pandemic in terms of our volunteers?
Well, at this time, we have a sort of not, I won't say restricted, but they won't be volunteering in the patient care areas. This is to protect the patients and to protect them. Also, we have positions where if they want to make phone calls, do callbacks, and so do phone appointment reminders and things of that nature. So we found ways to still utilize our volunteers.
Yeah, absolutely. So the bottom line of that is basically we are still accepting volunteers. We may not be able to use them in the usual capacity as we have in the past, but of course we are still always looking for volunteers, and we will find assignments and duties for them if they so choose, right?
That is correct.
Okay. So tell us a little bit about your staff. How big is your staff? I know you mentioned some of the different people we have at different locations. So tell us a little bit about your amazing staff.
Well, I have two amazing staff members. Ms. Sharon Latner, who is my assistant. She a voluntary service assistant. She works here at our Biloxi facility and handles the volunteers from the Mississippi Gulf Coast and the Mobile area. And then Mr. Michael Gray, he handles all of the volunteers from the Panhandle. Michael is a retired Navy Master Chief. So, he's a great leader. He does a great job, with he's a voluntary service specialist and does a great job with actually running the program in the Panhandle.
Nice. So tell us a little bit about donations and how we accept donations if we're still receiving donations. Tell us a little bit about that.
Of course, that's a very good question. I like that one. Yes, we are accepting donation. We accept both monetary and non-monetary donation. The monetary donation help fund different activities for our inpatients, such as luncheons and sporting events, bingos, and other special events. The non-monetary donations include toiletries, new clothing, comfort items, and non-perishable food items for our food pantry. We do have a nice food pantry, and we always need donations of non-perishable food items to support our veterans that might need that food.
Yeah, absolutely. Our donations from our community and from our veterans and their families go a long way. We graciously appreciate all the support that we receive throughout the community. So, you know, we're always excited to receive those donations, and we try our best to be as thankful and highlight those individuals and organizations whenever we do receive a donation. So, Mr. Davis, I again want to thank you so much for joining us today on Gulf Coast VA Today and sharing all the ins and outs about voluntary services. It's a very important service and program within our Gulf Coast Veterans Healthcare System, and I cannot thank you, your staff, and all of our volunteers enough.
Thank you so much for having me.
And thank you for joining us on this episode of Gulf Coast VA Today. Make sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram at VA Gulf Coast, and visit our website at www.biloxi.va.gov, where you can subscribe to our email list so you're always in the know. Be sure to also tune in for our next episode. But until then, soldiers, sailors, airmen, Coast Guardsmen, Marines, family and friends, thank you for your service and support. Semper Fidelis.